So here we are, week 3, and almost every beginning animation class starts with a bouncing ball, and you've already seen it in your Principles of Animation readings. That there's actually a lot to learn about movement and how it works in time and space from a bouncing ball. For example, just in this demo here that I have in your folder, there's 3 little bouncing ball diagrams. You can see that what you have here is showing in space that the ball moves in arcs. It also squashes down when it hits the ground and stretches as it goes up and becomes its regular shape at the apex of its journey. Also, you can see that the balls are sort of overlapping here, here, and here, and they're much further apart here. That's to indicate the speed. It's going much faster here, so there's fewer in-betweens, more here where it's slowing down as it begins to be pulled down by gravity. You can also see that there's a tilt. It sort of tilts in the direction of its path. These are all, kind of basic things that we need to think about when we're creating animations. Previously, when we did the cat animation, we saw the real, this idea of squash and stretch and all these ideas in real motion. So here's, the squash, and boom, the stretch, and squash and back down again. For every action, there's a reaction, right? So here's another example, the squash, the stretch. Oftentimes, people do this kind of idea, but actually the ball needs to make contact first before it squashes. But you don't have it here when it's going back up. We're not going, by the way, we're going this way, boom, boom, boom. When it's going back up, it doesn't also have a contact. Contact is in the point where it hits the ground, a contact screen. One other image from this. And this is, the speed, the timing. Because the ball doesn't go as high up each time, it loses a little bit of its energy. It goes boing, 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 right? The time between when it hits gets smaller and smaller until it eventually just ends up on the ground. So these are all things that we can demonstrate with a bouncing ball. It's actually a rather sophisticated situation when you think about it. So again, I have notes for this if you want to just do it that way. I am going to start us off. I'm taking my actual animate file here and just dropping it into animate. But to be honest, we don't even need to do that. This is, don't worry about the action script 2, just click OK. So because there's nothing to this, all you really need to do is open up your image, open up your animate, because there's nothing here. As you can see, nothing in the library, nothing going on. I'm going to control click on the stage because I don't really like showing the guide, so I am going to, control click guides, edit guides. Oh, I meant grid. Turn that off. There we go. Also, as you may remember, I like show frame. That makes the stage as big as it can be, but one more time, show frame, but without, so we can see where the edges are, we can see what we're doing, but without actually making it too big, where we can't see what's going on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a shape tool. Under all these tools, you can see on the left-hand side here that there's some tools that have this little arrow or this little notch next to it. Those tools have other tools underneath it. So the free transform tool also has the gradient transform tool. The lasso tool also has the polygon tool and the magic wand. Some of these things, you know, I'll be showing you. Some of these things you'll kind of figure out because you know them from Photoshop or whatever. Pen tool has convert anchor, blah, blah, blah. These are all things we might play with later. The rectangle tool also has the rectangle primitive tool. I don't work with primitives, and we won't be going into that much in class. I'm sure you can find a ton of videos online to learn the difference between primitive and not primitive tools. Maybe later we'll look at them depending on the timing. So here we have the oval tool, and that's what we're going to pick. We're going to choose a color for the outline. I'm going to go with, because I am super boring. Actually, you know what? I want no outline. So, and I suggest you do the same. There's a reason for that. We'll talk about it later. So this white box with an X through it, or I mean a cross through it, is no outline. Okay, so now I'm going to choose a color for my ball. So I'm clicking on it. I'm going to do that like red rubber or old school ball color, and I'm going to actually go up here and make it a little muckier looking by making it less saturated, adding a little bit of gray and maybe a little bit of orange. That makes it less of a maybe more of a realistic color. And I'm going to go to my color here. This is a palette, by the way, and that's where the colors show up. If you can't find any of these things, remember, go to Window, and you can see there's color right here. If you're ever missing anything, you ever can't find anything, that's where it is. Okay, so instead of solid color, I'm going to go with radial gradient. You'll like this one. So now we have to choose colors again, I am afraid. As you can see here, the way the gradient is working is that the black, this end, is the inside, the fill colors. So this is what I want to be the lightest part, because that's actually where I want the highlight. So I'm going to double click on that and choose like a light red, and double click on this and choose that kind of darker red, and go here, double click on it again, go over there, and again make it more of a, I'm going to make it a lot darker actually, something like this, so that we get a real nice gradient. Click OK. I'm going to bring it forward a little bit. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm making it so that the highlight is a lot smaller. So we get a nice outline. And then I think what I'm going to do is add one more color, make this color even darker yet. So if we go to, you know, like this, okay, I think that's all right. That should be okay. Can't tell me it's not. All right, good. So I'm happy with that. Closing it up. I'm grabbing my oval tool, and I'm going to hold down the shift key. Okay? If you hold down the shift key, it will keep the shape you make a circle. Or if it's a rectangle tool, it'll keep it a square. It'll keep the sides the same. So I'm holding down the shift key. I'm not going to make it real big so that we can get it bouncing a few times across the stage. So holding down the shift key, I click down now. Now I'm clicking down and I'm dragging down into the right. And there's my ball. What do you think? Not bad, right? We're going to be okay with that? Okay. The next thing we're going to do is, remember, we're still in the scene, so we are going to nest this image. We're going to create a nested image. So we're going to click on it. You can see all of those dots. That means it's not a graphic symbol yet. To make a graphic symbol, we choose, that's right, F8, BALL. Graphic. Make sure it says graphic. Don't mistake it. Sometimes people do movie clip or button, and that's a real problem because they do not behave the same. Registration. Let's put the registration down here. Registration is where it pivots from. So this is really good for a bouncing ball. You'll see why in a little bit. We're going to click OK. And boom. One more thing, you can see this is showing where our registration point is, but this is where it's going to pivot from. This is a really dumb thing with Animate that I don't know what to tell you. It's something that we need to, they should fix. All you need to do to fix it is grab your free transform tool. You could just click Q, or you can click this button up here and double click on that dot, and boom, it goes to its registration point. And now we are ready to go.